Hello YouTube, this is Worthy here, and today we're going to be playing some awesome 1v1. This is of course a battle replay, as I don't like to record Starcraft live very often, generally because it means that it's going to be a little bit annoying for me to do a perfect build order and talk about the game. So again, this is a replay from the ladder matches on Starcraft 2, Wings of Liberty, and this is just the regular game, no expansions here today. So, as you saw in the previous StarCraft episode, I got to test out the 15 gas expansion, and that worked out pretty well with my buddy who I told to directly counter it. And I figured, let's see what happens in like an actual kind of game. Once again, this is going to be Terran versus Terran. This was quite an interesting match. I did have to do a little bit of improvising at the end, but anyway, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the game. Alright, we're going to be following my camera directly once again, just so we can once again go over the build order. I have my build order right next to me right now. So, the first thing that we are going to want to do is go ahead and take a look at the perfect timing that I try and do in order to get out my supply depot as quickly as I can, which is going to be the number one thing. So as you can see, we are going to go ahead and start building up our SCVs. We've got the production tab open right now, and we're going to go ahead and look at how we're pretty much in sync with the other Terran. So as you can see, I'm going to go ahead on over, and I'm going to go ahead and build the supply depot, which is very good to have happening, especially in the early part of the game. You want to make sure you're getting the supply depots as quickly as possible in order to make sure that you're actually going to be able to have the production facilities in order to build things. So now, as we continue to follow my camera, I'm going to go ahead and prepare to build a barracks as soon as possible. And remember, we get to the 12th supply as soon as that SCV does pop out for the 12th supply and the supply depot finishes. That's when we're going to lay down our barracks to help work on that wall off. Now, as you can see, we're going to keep building SCVs, and you'll notice in the production tab, my barracks will start a little bit faster than his was. Every little second matters in StarCraft 2, and it's very important to make sure that we're being as efficient as possible. And if you're wondering why the graphics don't actually look as good as normal, one, because StarCraft 2 doesn't really like my new, I did some computer updates and pretty much the graphics were too hard on it. Also, this kind of makes it feel like kind of Brood War-ish, and I kind of like playing this way actually. So yeah, that's why the graphics are weird. In any case, as the barracks is building, remember we're building constant SCVs. As you can see, my money is getting a little bit high, but keep in mind I am preparing to build another supply depot, and also going to need to go ahead and getting the orbital command as soon as possible. When I get up to about 16 to 17, and we're going to start out our first marine as soon as the barracks does pop. And you will notice that our opponent, even though if you look in the upper left, right over here, you're going to see that he is getting his tech lab. You'll notice, though, if you go to the unit counting station, our SCVs are still even. But my money is much lower than his is, because he's going for an early Reaper. As you can see, he's building a Reaper, and pretty sure I'm going to be able to show you how to deal with that kind of Reaper harassment stuff. And I'll admit, don't quite remember what the name of it is. I'll probably figure it out later if I remember. So remember, of course, as you get that barracks, you're just going to go ahead and lift it off and build a tech lab. Sorry, no, you build a reactor. As soon as you can, as soon as your orbital command finishes, you're going to pop down a mule, and of course keep building SCVs, always building SCVs. When that gas had just finished, when we had built it back on 15, you want to make sure you would put those 2 workers into gas as soon as possible. And you'll notice I'm adding on 2 more barracks pretty much as soon as I can. Now, once the your money will be getting a little bit high, so you got to make sure you're building those SCVs. Even though I haven't clicked on it.
SCV ready.
I'm not sure. Okay, well let me see that, which is fine. So anyway, just kind of waiting on our stuff to get built. Money is getting a bit high, but as soon as we can, we're pretty much gonna be getting ready to put down our engineering bays as we start to see our worker count is continuing to rise. I'm also going to be getting those
SCV ready.
The expansion. Oh right, I'm sorry, so sorry. It's been a little while, but yes, I'm going to lay down the expansion. That's why we let our money get high. Then we're going to keep building marines and start building up a small force at our wall. And as we're going to see, there's going to be the barracks getting a reactor on it directly, and then another reactor on that. And as you can see, there was that Reaper, but I'm just going to go ahead and walk on down. Fortunately, our main base is not actually accessible via Reaper. He does have to go in through our expansion first, so I was able to kind of hold that off with those marines that I did have. Oh, actually, he was able to sneak in there. And I do notice it, and I'm like, well, shit. So I gotta go up, grab my Marines,
SCV ready.
and do my best to try and stop it. You'll notice I don't really panic too much, just kind of bringing off a single SCV that kind of draws him out. And then he will be hunted down and killed. He might be able to get away, but yeah, no, I try and stop that as soon as possible. And then immediately redeploy back down to the bottom, just in case he's trying to make some sort of a push. Now you'll notice we're going to go ahead, now that we have a bunch of money, because I was kind of distracted by that. We're going to go ahead and be building our 2 engineering bays. I'm going to start making Marines out of everything. And you'll notice we are at 27 out of 27 supply. We are supply blocks, so that's why those 2 supply depots are going to be pretty essential. Once the command center is built, going to go ahead and grab some workers from down here, transfer them over. And you go ahead and watch the production tab. Once again, if there is anything I'm happy to be missing here, it's not going to be perfect. And I will actually probably, it's going to be kind of a 2-parter, like I've done before, where I'm actually going to look at it from his perspective as soon as this game is over, so I can kind of explain the kind of thoughts he was going through, because I think it's very interesting. Because you'll notice his production tab is a lot bigger than mine, because he's making more stuff, which is what happens. So as you can see, I got my second expansion up already, mining from that pretty easily. It's a pretty safe expansion on this map. Not too bad. Going to be researching stim, getting those supply depots out. There's a lot of stuff happening at the same time. Of course, when the engineering base come out, you want to go ahead and get the attack upgrades and the armor upgrades when possible. Yep, I'm going to get both of those. You'll notice my opponent didn't go for that as soon as I did, so that's something of note. And that our opponent is actually building siege tanks, whereas I'm not. We're not actually going to be using any tanks at all in this build, even though we're going to lay down our factory right now. He scans, sees our Marines, but he doesn't see our tech. He doesn't know about the engineering base, which is very important.
This better be good.
Because we don't want him to know we're already working on our 1-1 upgrades. Because that'd be pretty bad. Now we're going to start to lay down, after our 1-1 is starting to be made, we're going to lay down 3 more gas in order to support our medevac count that we're going to need in order to be able to push forward in order to do the medevac marine drop. Why no marauders? Well, we could get marauders, but we don't really have enough gas to be able to do that, and we wouldn't be able to have 1-1 and other upgrades as well, which is a bit of a problem. Now you notice I'm getting stim pack before I go ahead and get the combat shield. Stim pack takes a lot longer, and it's more important to get stim pack and to give everyone else that increased attack speed over, you know, just maybe a little extra 10 health for each guy. And then, of course, we're just going to build Marines when we can. We're trying to make Marines as constantly as often as well as our SCVs. Just kind of constant work going on. And then we're going to lay down the armory as soon as we can see our 1-1 is kind of getting close to finishing. That's about pretty much once the factory's laid down. Also, that's when you want to get that armory. Make sure that we can get 2 as fast as we can. Because we're not too worried particularly about getting... Well, I think I actually do end up getting armor upgrade for the medevac, but I'm not sure. Oh, I think I might have accidentally misclicked and accidentally gotten myself a marauder. It's not bad if you have marauders, if you want to do that, but this strategy is really more for a lot of Marines with upgrades, because when you get marauders, you're using up that gas a lot more, and you don't have the gas in order to support other things, which is why generally you want to be going for Marines. So having a marauder or 2 isn't the end of the world. Not that bad. As you can see, first 2 medevacs are coming out around 10:30. That's about what we want. Keep in mind, our food supply is much higher than his. We have 81 to 65 right now. And then we're just going to go ahead and... what was I doing here? I think I was just trying to build a supply depot or something. Yeah, just kind of building supply depots, making sure my economy's up. Always checking my medevacs. Going to make medevacs. He scans it, sees the medevacs. That was kind of annoying for me. I didn't really like that he saw that. I am going to start researching combat shield, and I'm going to get 2-2 going on the way right now. As you can see, kind of waiting on some money. It's the gas again. That's again why you need to have the gas correctly, and you don't want to waste it. If I didn't spend that gas on the Marauder, I probably wouldn't be able to have 2 medevacs right away, but we were a little bit delayed, which is unfortunate. Going to the unit counting station right now. You'll see that I have higher Marine count. I have 2 medevacs, and he just has 3 tanks, but I have 40 SCVs, he only has 24, which is a huge advantage. It's much easier for me to resupply and get more money incoming with as many SCVs as I do. You generally want to have about 50 to 60 SCVs by the time you're getting ready to push onto your 3rd base, so you can get some good transfers down. As you can see, I'm going to be adding on more barracks to put some reactors on, so I can really make sure that when I go to get my third expansion, that I'll have a good enough replacement rate to be able to keep up for when my army does get taken down and have to rebuild, because I can't ever assume that I'm going to win with one push, even though I did do that in the last game, which now I am actually going to be going ahead and making the +1 armor upgrade from the armory there, since I did have the extra gas, and I was kind of at the point where I was ready to make the first push. Keep in mind, I haven't really scouted out. I did know he was playing Terran, but I didn't really know what he was going for. I've only seen the one Reaper. So that told me that he was doing some sort of a tech build, because usually Reaper will mean that the enemy wants to do a tech build, so we'll put on early pressure to try to keep you back. Now, obviously I spot the Marauder there. I don't bother stimming, there's no reason to stim for one Marauder. Medevacs having pretty decent energy as we start to push out. I'm not quite sure if he has an expansion there or not, so I actually decide to go ahead and go up here and head around just to try and catch him off guard. If he did have an expansion, that would have been a really important thing to do. I'm pretty sure he didn't, though, at the time I was doing the push. So as you can see back home, just rallying up. We want to make sure we're queuing up stuff. I'm just prepping a production, so that way I make sure that I have units to replace this if this doesn't work out. So we're going to go ahead and move up. I see his army. Get ready to stim him. And I'm going to go ahead and try and take him out. I do have a range advantage, so I am able to get a lot of kills there, but unfortunately I do get taken out. Was not expecting those tanks there. Again, I'm kind of new at this, kind of still testing things out, but we do actually get taken down by that.
Ready for dust off.
But as you'll soon see, I already am getting ready to continue building my army, because all you do pretty much from here on out, in terms of late game, you're pretty much just building more crap. Like, you just need more Marines, more medevacs, and it should work, because as you can see, we have upgrade. He's just now getting his 1-1. I'm already, I'm pretty sure anyways, I'm going to start working on making sure I get 3-3. As you can see, more medevacs coming back. Important to save those medevacs, because the higher medevac count you have, the better. As you can see, I do have more medevacs. My Marines are coming out fairly strong. I'm building a little bit more Marines than he is, but it is pretty even. Now, I saw there was a drop in the back of my base, so I just grab all my guys and move them over. You need to be kind of aware that drops can happen. He does siege up his tanks, and I decided to just run in, stimming. And this is where those upgrades really make a difference. See, as you can see, even though he did have the tank, I was able to get really good shots off. Because of my 2-2 upgrades, I was able to hold off any sort of drops there, and I do lose that barracks, which was a little unfortunate.
Coming through.
But it's totally fine. Just going to build another barracks. My production isn't going to hurt too much, and I'm actually working on 3-3. We were able to defend that quite successfully. And again, that's why I like this, because since he won that battle, he was able to drop in. If I didn't have such a high production rate coming up, then it wouldn't have been quite as efficient. And as you can see, we're just pumping out more stuff. I do go ahead and build some Vikings. That's just a personal choice for me that I decided to make, since I decided that, well, he has medevacs and I don't really want him to drop again. And so I get ready to go ahead and start building my command center for the third expansion. Now, as you can see, we are coming up on the 17-minute mark in the game. That's about when you want to start getting ready to start pushing out again for your second attack, which is going to be important. So I'm going to be mixing and matching. I'm going to get some Vikings and more medevacs, of course. You don't want to stop getting medevacs. That'd be really bad. And as you can see, we're halfway done with 3-3, and he hasn't really even moved on to 2-2. Which clearly means that because of our economy that we built up, and the fact that we were able to hold off that drop successfully, he's really playing a catch-up game now, so I know that I'm pretty safe to take my expansion. If I had seen an army moving in the center, I probably wouldn't be able to take an expansion right now, but because, again, we were able to hold it off, an expansion is completely fine. I'm getting a message right now. I'm just going to let him know I'm recording. Okay, now that that's out of the way, as you can see, expansion's running pretty smooth. We were able to SCV up pretty well, and then we got more barracks adding on. This is about the time when you want to start adding a second starport. This was a bit of a mistake of mine. As you can see, we're pretty high money, and because of that, that does mean we should be getting more production buildings.
Supply depots required.
And as you can see, we're getting supply capped. I'm pretty sure I just kind of call in supply, because I don't really want to worry too much about that, because I really want to get this push out and figure out a way to to make this work.
Upgrade.
So, as you can see, we're going to go ahead and make a push again. Let's go ahead and switch over to unit tab. As you can see, I have 67 Marines. He only has 48, which is a pretty big difference. Now, are all 67 of those Marines sitting here? No, but I've now queued up all my buildings to go ahead and start. Or sorry, I actually made a little mistake. Because I have everything hotkeeyed.
Add-on complete.
So as you can see, we're pushing down. I expect there to be an expansion. I do see that. Gonna stim into this. Target fire the tank. And once again, the upgrade showing why it's so important to upgrade. Now keep in mind I did less Marines here, which is why I still lose the battle. But I did a significant amount of damage to him. Enough where he only has like 10 Marines and maybe a medevac. And I'm gonna go ahead and run away with my medevacs. And already, once again, I still have 38 Marines. And we're just still producing Marines. Nothing really to worry about there. I wasn't too concerned. The medevac's coming back home. And once again, as you can see, we did get pushed back. This is okay, because now, again, I'm engaging an army that I know. I noticed that his army wasn't really changed in this size. Like, it was still the same size kind of army.
Mineral field depleted.
At this point, you know, I'm standing there. He's not pushing out. I left a Marine there to check. These medevacs get back, and I realize, you know,
Mineral field depleted.
he hasn't really done much to respond. To try and make an actual attack on my base, because I've always been able to attack him, again because of how quickly I'm able to get out my units. I feel more comfortable attacking, which is kind of the main point by this build also, is that you're able to be much more aggressive. And I did build a planetary fortress on that 3rd command center, but as you can see, we're going to go ahead and load up. And it's at this point when I decide, you know what, I'm pretty sure I could do a good drop, and I'd be pretty okay. Now, I don't remember if I fill up that 3rd one. Now keep in mind, also, I got a little bit lucky here, because 2 of these medevacs are actually really low. They could easily die, and I could lose about 8 Marines each. So that'd be about a loss of 16. Now granted, I have so many Marines it doesn't matter. But that's besides the point. You always want to be careful. Try and get some Vikings to go along with them, just in case you get hit by air. You'll be able to deal with it. And again, just queuing up more Marines, because why the heck not? And this is where I'm going to go ahead and drop into the back of his base. Because 1, I already know where his base is. 2, I can pretty much assume that he'll think that because of all my aggressive... because of how aggressive I am, that I'll be trying to go for his front. He probably didn't even expect me to think to try and do a drop, because drops aren't as common, especially in the lower levels. Not because of like the cheese. Now I notice there's this tank that's unsieged here, so I know I want to drop right on top of that. And I'm also aware of that Banshee, so I'm going to go ahead and take that out if possible. Trying not to use stim. Using stim is not really necessary unless I see an army coming. And this is the part where I really get him, because he gets clubbed up in his buildings, and I'm able to get this around, plus the stim. Laying that down is going to make it a little easier to deal with this, and we're going to be able to clean up this whole thing quite easily as we're able to take him out, and our opponent does leave the game. So anyway, as you can see, guys, this is actually a very effective build. Even if you do get pushed back and you're starting to get hurt, you need to remind yourself that you're always going to have a bigger economy. Look, end of the game, I had 87 Marines. You know, if we look over here, I still had all of this stuff right here ready to go, even if this failed, so I'd be able to continue attacking. So it just kind of builds and builds on itself, eventually to the point where, you know, you can pretty much deal with anything. And, like, let's say he even tried to hard counter with, like, battle cruisers or cloaked banshees. Well, again, that's why we have those 3 command centers. We can just scan, stim, and we pretty much kill everything. We're not too worried about it. I will admit, though, if we get some Dark Templar and you're not able to get your scans off quite well, I'm not quite sure how you want to deal with that, especially since we don't put tech labs on our starport in order to keep up that production. But that's again where I mentioned earlier, where it would be important to make sure that you want to get multiple starports. I'm not perfect at this build yet, because this build kind of stops after about the 12-minute mark, and you kind of have to improvise after that. And that's just where my general knowledge of the game kind of helped me to maintain the strategy, what the strategy was meant to do. So anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed this game. Had a lot of fun playing it. Of course, good game to my opponent. And as always, I'm Elwerfy, and I'll see you guys next time.